Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show. I have with me Mr. Joel and Casey Johnson today. Say hello to everybody, guys.
Hey, what's up? Hey,
Excited to join you guys today.
and before we jumped in, we were just saying how fly Kim's hair looks today.
Okay.
Looking good, sharp, fresh, Kim.
Interesting. I'm not usually the delay here, but today I've been the delay in the broadcast going forward. So please accept my humblest apologies here.
Hey, we quarantine. We're on quarantine, Kim. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny. I am so glad that everyone's tuning in. Listen, as you jump on, as I can see many of you are already jumping on, make sure you take a moment. And Joel and Casey, this is an opportunity for you two to go to my personal Facebook page and you can share it over to your friends and family. I am going to just play some music right quick and give everyone that's on. If you are part of the studio audience, listen, I want you to share this broadcast with your friends, your family, your coworkers, your church members, everybody, so they don't miss out on today's topic, which is how we are going to stay at home and have some date night challenges. So you're in for a treat. So go ahead and share the broadcast, and I am going to formally introduce our guests today. Take a moment and go ahead and do that now, if you will.
We're doing it right now, Kim.
And I'm going to play some music while we do it and get ready to jumpstart the show. Everybody else, go ahead and share. And then also make sure you comment if you want to appear as a part of the studio audience. Good morning, Andrea. All right. So we are going to go ahead and get started with today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. And I have with me today Joel Johnson and Casey Johnson. Now, I've had Joel on the show before, but haven't had his lovely wife, Casey. So I am super excited about having her on today too.
Well, you get the better half today, Kim.
I'm just super excited because I don't know if you all watched when Joel was on. If you haven't, make sure you go back and watch the marriage relationship panel where him and Ken Canyon were on as my special guest, but I didn't have their other halves. They're important. So I want to do an individual.
All good juicy secrets to share. That's really what it is.
Oh yeah, I need you to be able to get the mic when you want to as well. Yeah. That's why you gotta have a wife present. But Joel Johnson, we know, is the president of Johnson Ministries. He has spoken to over 2 million people in over 20 nations around the world. He's a keynote speaker and at Acquire the Fire conferences for over 15 years, a best-selling author, coach, and co-host of Messy Life podcast. Now, let me make sure you know that not only is he on the speaking circuit, his lovely wife, Casey, is a force to be reckoned with as well. She's an author. She is also a speaker. She is also a mom holding the household down. Without her being the CEO of the home, life would shut down. She's a wife of Mr. Joel here, and she's also the director of operations. So she has her own job outside of her being a mom too, which I really 100% believe a mom is a mom. So I don't care whether the mom works in the home or works outside of the home. It's all a job, right? So today I have with me both Joel and Casey Johnson. Welcome.
Thank you for having us. We are excited and honored to be here and hope we can just share some form of encouragement while we're all quarantined and surviving this crazy world we're in right now, right? It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, right now, so many.
I'm through, Kim. I'm through with quarantine. I can't handle it anymore. You know, I've had all I can done take. As they say. Some folks say it out here.
He said this morning, he was like, I think I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I just think I'm done.
Yeah, they're being done. That's interesting that you're saying that. So being done and going back out into society. What does that look like for you and your family over there? Like as far as are you wearing masks and how are things going on your end?
Yeah, I think because we have younger kids, we have a 10 and an 8-year-old. my kids are having double summer. So like I'm feeling right now, because my office is out of the home. And so I'm feeling right now, okay, we are done with summer. We're gearing back up for school, but we haven't even finished school.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's how I feel too.
It's tough too. I mean, because you want to be cautious and careful, and you want to be responsible, socially responsible, and social distance. And so we really, I mean, in 2 months, our kids haven't been to a store. They've not been to a park. You know, you don't realize how much it alters their lives too. I mean,
we bought a trampoline so they could jump in the backyard. We're trying to find physical activity. I mean, they ride their bikes around and like do some of that, but it's been a different world.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this the United States of America? Where are we? We're living in some sort of altered universe.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's so funny you say that, because I did the same thing with my children. Actually range from 12 up to 22 years old.
Wow.
And so I was trying to think, what can I do? So we have our bikes and everything, but then I also thought maybe I'll just get some old school balls, just the balls that you normally would get like a 3 or 4-year-old. And I had to get the big softer ball, because I was thinking we'll play dodgeball. But if you play dodgeball with the real dodgeball, they'll hurt my daughter. So because they'll be like lighting her up, So bigger ball for that, and then the harder ball for kickball, and then the football, the Nerf ball. So it's a lot of thought going into it, right?
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. We have been moved back. It seems like 20 years. We're living a month or two in the good old days.
Yeah. That's exactly what I feel like too. Like literally going back in life, but going back to the basics though, not just going back in a bad way, but going back to being able to value family and understand the importance of togetherness, which brings you all on the show today.
Yeah.
So you guys are husband and wife. You're stay at home together, quarantine together, not because you have coronavirus or anything, but by choice. You're just choosing to stay secure with your family.
Yeah.
What does that whole stay at home look like for you and your spouse? Not your children. I'm talking about, that's why I got my little sleeve out today. Your spouse. What does that look like?
Well, I feel like it's like, you can't get a babysitter, right? You can't. So you've got to figure out ways.
And even if you did get a babysitter, where are you going to go? Right on the block?
Yeah.
You can't go out to eat. You can't go to the park. You can't where are you going to go? We're going to sit in the car and eat our, Bojangles. That's what we're going to do.
That's funny because we have had a lot of Bojangles too.
Well, it's always bow time here, especially in Charlotte. It's always bow time. And we just, your kids are with you all the time, and it's almost like you can't get away. So we started saying to ourselves, and I don't know if we've been totally successful, but we're like, okay, the kids have to have a bedtime. Like we have got to put them to bed for our own sanity, so that we can have a little bit of me and you time, because this is weird. This is altered. You and me, we got to stay strong if we're going to be great parents and be able to make it through this time successfully, not just surviving, but thriving. Yeah.
And you have to think about too, all the things that you would do that normally would refresh you and make you a sane human being are gone out of our lives. And so I would go to yoga. I would go get my nails done. I would go walk around TJ Maxx, which now I can again, thank God. But all those things where you could pull away and just regain your sanity have been taken away. And so I feel like in some ways we've seen the worst of one another, like I'm ready to murder myself. Forget you murdering me. I'm ready to just go crazy in this,
I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
It is over. I am done. Quarantine. I'm done with you. I'm done with you.
So it's like, I just need a minute. I'm getting my mask and I'm going to Target. And Joel's like, when are you going to be home? I'm like, I don't know.
So wear your mask and go to a store.
Yeah, go to Target. I need essentials,
And part of out of all of this, we thought to ourselves, okay, we can't be the only ones who are going through this. And so we decided we were going to make 3 quarantine dates, and we created this series. And part of the thing that we do is we are marriage conference speakers. So we'll go and
Which
talk.
really just means that we're okay with sharing all of the crazy bumps in the road and letting other people learn from our mistakes is really what it is.
Yeah, we're like the normalizers, okay? Like we're just maybe foolish enough to tell on ourselves that we
Right.
make issues, and we need to work through them.
That's interesting that you said that, because I want to give people a chance to see just a clip of you all speaking, and then you can talk a little bit more. I'll stay on your website, and you can talk about some of the things that you would like for me to go to on the site for me to show. That way you'll get a chance to have a visual as you speak too. So let's share that for a second. Let's see. This is great. I'm so glad that you guys are on today. So we're going to joeljohnson.org, and as you can see, we have here.
And you can go down to the bottom.
I'm going to go to the bottom to let you know.
To get the one that
they've been featured on Fox News, CNN, TBN, CBC television. Joel's explained already. He's a speaker, coach, author, the co-host of Messy Life podcast. So if you all have not subscribed to Messy Life podcast, you'll get to hear both Joel and Casey on Messy Life podcast. And you guys are just like bubbling with joy and excitement. And I can see the energy just exuding from your pores.
Well, thank you. Hey, we weren't there before we turned the play button on. We'll tell you a little bit more about life is life, and we're just happy to be breathing right now. That's all I can say.
Well, I'm going to share this quick clip, and then we're going to talk some more to Joel.
You can feel it in the house. Everything okay? Yeah, everything's okay. It was like we'd walk around, microwaving metal, inside of us. Something's wrong, How are you doing today? Everything's fine. Really? Everything's fine? Yes. Some of you are married to a person just like that. So put us together and guess what you're going to get?
Yes.
We're just going to be vulnerable and just kind of open up, and you're going to see all of our mess. Is that okay this morning?
I went to Joel and I was like, Joel, do you feel like I'm teachable in our marriage?
Y'all, I didn't say nothing.
That's a setup.
I mean, I said like something, but it wasn't like you couldn't understand. I was like, no.
And I go in the living room ready to talk it out. And he is like sound asleep on the couch.
Man, I had to work in the morning, y'all.
I was fuming. I wanted to dump a bucket of ice cold water on his head and be like, we ain't letting the sun go down on our anger.
She is such an excellent arguer. Can I just say that? I had to go to law school so that I would win a few, and I'm truthful, to win a few arguments.
It's just because women, we remember everything, right?
Everything.
I'm like, I remember this. We like remember. We have amazing memories.
Yeah, I'm hungry right now.
Well, anyway, I want to make sure that I give people just a chance to learn more about your website. They can go and check things out and learn more about joeljohnson.org and the Messy Life podcast. And so any special place that you want me to go while I have the page up before we come back and talk to everyone?
The date night page, joeljohnson.org/date night. Here's the thing that kind of was birthed out of quarantine of saying, how do we first help ourselves, but then can we help other people around the country, around the world, so that they have an opportunity to come and walk through taking their marriage further through this time? Because I think you can come out of this time and you're going to do one or two things. If you're unintentional, you're going to grow in distance. But if you're intentional, you can grow closer together and move further, and really use this time to go deeper, so that when we are released out into society again, that we can grow further. And so this is what we came up with, 3 dates. And you can even scroll down the page and you can kind of see we have right there, you can download for each of the 3 dates. We have curriculum that goes with it. And down a little bit further, you can see our first date is Mind the Gap. Our second date is Trust Factor. And you can click and play right there. The videos are free, and all of the downloadable material is free. And you can just check it out and join these 3 amazing dates. The last date is actually, it's called Fight Night Heroes, and it's all about conflict resolution. And we share some things on there that will cut your fight time down by about 90%. Some tools that we learned to use and has helped our fights be so much shorter.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this is important for you guys that are watching today's broadcast. Make sure you check out joeljohnson.org and go specifically to the date night challenges. They have 3 different challenges, and coming up is the Fight Night Heroes Challenge, which is available now, and you can click to hear more about that. I don't know if you want me to click on it now or just let them go to it later, Joel, in case.
Yeah, I think they can go to it later.
Okay.
I think that's fine. If at some point in the show we want to reference something, but each of the date nights are about 20 to 25 minutes each.
Okay.
So you sit down with your spouse or your significant other, and you watch just us give a few tools. Really, we just tell on ourselves and make fun of ourselves and normalize, like, this is okay, this is normal.
Yeah.
But then we give you some tools, how to mesh with each other. We use Myers-Briggs, which a lot of people are familiar with, to help you understand and help your teamwork as a married couple. And not only that, then we will also, in our last Fight Night Heroes, we talk through discovering your 5 apology languages. So everybody receives an apology differently, just like we receive love differently, but we also receive apologies differently. So we talk through just how do you discover yours, and we talk about ours and how they rub up against each other all the time. So
I love it.
It's a good opportunity for Joel and I. We didn't grow up in Christian homes. We both, and I don't know if Joel might have shared this previously, but we didn't grow up in Christian homes, and both of our parents, we had experienced divorces. And so we had to work really hard. I mean, this August we'll be celebrating 16 years of marriage.
Congratulations.
And we had to work really hard. We weren't given the tools, or those tools weren't modeled for us. And so everything we learned was really hard work. And for us, it was an opportunity to say, let's open up our lives. Really, that's what Messy Life is all about, because if I can learn from somebody else's mistake, I would way rather do that than the pain of my own mistakes, right? And so we just wanted to open up our lives and say, we've had a few bumps in the road, and this is what we've learned through them. And so it's a great opportunity for other people to take the tools that we've learned the hard way and implement it in their marriage. And we thought, what a better way than we fly out to these churches and we host these marriage conferences and go through this material, but we're all quarantined. We all want to kill each other right now. We've all had too much of each other. And so why not take advantage of, when are we ever going to have another opportunity in our lives where we're working from home, our kids are home, and we have the opportunity to pivot and make the most of a really dark situation and say, let's grow together. Let's grow in our marriages. Let's use this time to grow in our families. So that's what we did.
Well, I love what you're saying. Then there are also people that are in marriages that are watching today's broadcast, and they're not as motivated and as excited as you guys are, because you guys are all, like close together, excited. But like you said, you're sharing some deep stuff that you grew up and from homes that are from divorce situations, and you've exposed your life to help other people. What advice can you give people that are just like not even knowing where to begin because they've had so many issues that they seem like they're on the brinks and they don't know how to move forward?
Yeah.
Here's the greatest advice we could give you, and it's do your work.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're waiting for your spouse to lead, but you have. It's not always going to be the guy. It's not always going to be the girl who leads. There are seasons in our marriage where, man, I am stressed out, or I'm in a bad place. We've had those seasons together. Mm-hmm. And so Casey had to lead sometimes, and sometimes I had to lead and just do the right thing, even though we weren't breaking through. Like the time before we learned our apology languages, it was just so frustrating for me because I would literally be like, I would be taking or expressing regret, which is accepting responsibility, which is my apology language. And I would be saying, okay, I do see I'm wrong and I'm sorry. Like, and I'll change that. I'm sorry. And Casey would just keep going. I mean, she would just keep going and going. And I would be like, okay, I'm wrong. I have said 5 times I am wrong. I have said I am sorry 5 times. But she was needing me to express regret.
I needed him to he hurt my feelings and I needed him to feel remorse for that. And he wasn't. He was just taking responsibility. I'm sorry, but I didn't.
Blowing it off like, oh, okay, I did.
Yeah, I didn't feel like he felt the gravity of hurting me.
And so what I learned to do is I learned to say, okay, I need to put myself in her shoes and empathize in order for me to actually love her and to speak that apology. And so a lot of people are deflated and just that they don't have any desire to move forward because they don't feel like they're making any progress. And when you can speak someone's apology language, you can actually forgive them, which helps you to go forward instead of being stuck like, okay, we're through that fight, but I don't feel like I was heard. I don't feel like we're resolved. I have no closure. And so you kind of get stuck and you're like, you give up in this marriage. And so there's a few things that if you will just keep doing your work, you will be the person who says, no matter what happens, I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to develop myself. If my husband or wife or significant other doesn't want to get counseling, if they don't want to like read the marriage book, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do my work. And you'll be amazed at what you put out or what seeds you plant. You will reap what you plant at some point in time. You will get back, the law of reciprocity. You will get that back. So those are a few things that we've encountered.
And I think also marriage gives you the opportunity to be the best version of yourself in the sense of we become Christians and we try to lay down our life for other people, right? We try to be more Christ-like for other people. And I think marriage, it puts that into action. It's an opportunity to be more selfless. And then you bring kids into the mix and it's like, my life is no longer my own. No. Like it becomes all about somebody else. But I love what Joel said in the sense of it gives us a great opportunity to do our work, to be more healthy, to be more loving, more kind. And, marriage isn't going to be perfect. It's hard work. But I think that early on in our marriage, Joel and I said, divorce is not an option for us. Right. It's just not an option. It will never be on the table. So no matter what, we've got to be committed to work through it. And so we can live miserable or we can live happy. And that all depends on if we're willing to do our work. And so that means there's been seasons in life that Joel has had to work really hard. And there's been seasons in my life that I've had to work really hard. We've both, through periods of time, been in counseling, individual counseling to help us grow and be better. And I think sometimes we also have to remember we have children that are depending on us being healthy people and us having a healthy marriage. Because, man, Kim, when you think about it, I look at my life, I'm 37 years old, and I have spent the last probably 17 to 20 years doing really hard work to overcome what I experienced in my childhood.
Right. Through
my parents' divorce. And through the issues that they struggled with. And I don't want that to be a repeat with my kids. I want to set them up to say, I want a marriage like my mom and dad had.
Yes.
I want them to say that, but that requires that we both do our work. And I remember a time where I even had to say, because Joel is more, and that's part of what we go through in our date nights, where you learn your personality types and how that can help you in communication and conflict. Mm-hmm. And Joel is more of an internal processor and I'm an external processor.
Okay.
So I'm more loud, and if something hurts my feelings, I'm going to let you know, like I don't hold anything back.
Right.
And he's more internal. He processes things internally. So you could imagine I was more explosive and he wouldn't say anything. And that's how we handled conflict.
Yeah, I just want the conflict to be over with. And again, most of the fellas out there will totally get what I'm saying. Like emotions, I just am like, I don't know what to do here. I just want this to stop. And so oftentimes you don't get heard because you're like trying to get the emotion to stop, or anyone who's really an internal processor that way. But a lot of the guys, when you get married and you're like, you discover, you know, oh my gosh, this woman has emotions, you know? Yeah. And I feel like ladies come out of the box, like with their emotions all wired up. Like guys, we have to like do it afterwards, you know? And we have to kind of like figure out, okay, so what's happening? So I'm just confused, and I'm like, okay, I just want this to stop right now. I wasn't being able to feel like I could communicate what my needs were, what I was experiencing. And that took some time and a lot of work to be able for me to actually venture into that world.
Well, I recommend too that my husband and I have trained a lot on using the William Harley Jr. Emotional Needs Survey. So I recommend to couples as well that if you get a chance, go and just take that survey. Yeah. It's a survey that you can force rank how you feel about your need for affection, whether it's all kinds of need for sexual fulfillment, what your need is regarding intimate conversation, or whether you're the person that needs to have recreational companionship. Because if you have a spouse and you need to have someone that's going to all the football games with you or going to the sporting events, then you need to be able to articulate that, and that makes a difference. So I know that this survey, open, honest communication, was like one of my biggest needs. Yeah. And it's a big difference between being open and being honest. Just because you're telling me something and you're open about it does not mean that you're telling me the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me. Yeah. That's so important. Yeah. So identifying your emotional needs, and it's probably something you guys even would incorporate into your.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, for sure. And for you, Kim, I mean, definitely if he's being open, but he's not being honest, that breaks down trust to the core. And you can't love without trust. I mean,
because that's a need of mine in particular. And so like when we do these surveys with couples, we've had people identify what their need is. If someone needs admiration or adoration, then if you're the person that's like, you get on my nerves, you're aggravating me, blah, 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 then that person's going to feel torn down.
Yeah.
And so it's so important to really identify what the personality type is, what the language is, all of the things that you guys are saying, and what the needs of your spouse is. I'm excited about everything that you guys are teaching today. This is like incredible.
I love what you said about that, Kim, because one of the things I had to learn in communication was be humble and be kind in your communication. Because you know how sometimes you're in the heat of a discussion, or even this list of questions that you give on this survey that you mentioned.
Right.
It requires that on both sides.
Yes.
Be receptive and be teachable. You know, I once heard a message by Jimmy Evans where he was talking about allowing your spouse to complain in your marriage. And that was hard for me to comprehend at first. But I think eventually when I processed it and I let it sink in, what it meant to me was be humble and be teachable. So if I'm doing something that bothers Joel, what I learned in the marriage early on is I would get defensive and reactive, and my walls would go up and he would shut down. So he didn't have this space to give me honest feedback in our marriage because I took it personal and I would get defensive. And so I had to learn, and I would say in my mind, be humble, be teachable, be humble, be teachable, be humble, be teachable, and allow him to give you that honest, open feedback in a kind way. And then with vice versa, when you're on the sharing end, you can be honest, but be kind, you know, making sure that in the heat of the moment, sometimes we're angry and we'll just say something and it hurts and you can't take that back. But in your communication, and I'll say to Joel, sometimes I'll say, can I just say it messy, but say it kind? And you can do both. You can say it messy, meaning I don't have all my thoughts together. I'm just processing, and I'm not saying my perspective was 100% right. So I'm going to say it messy, but I'm still going to say it kind.
And so here's one thing that you'll need to do, because this takes a lot of time and a lot of work. Like we didn't get it right in the first fight where we started implementing this, or I just came to the place in our marriage and I was like, okay, I would feel afraid to share my perspective because, just like Casey mentioned, she's more defensive, you know, and so it would be like argument, and of course, like I had to go to law school so that I could learn how to argue. So of course, she can beat me in an argument, and a lot of guys would say, yeah, girls communicate better than guys. Many men would say that, especially in the feelings department. And so I just had to say, what you're saying to me right now, I feel disrespected, and it's pushing me away from you. And I don't want to feel that. I'm just saying, here's what I feel. Unfortunately, she then got defensive. No, I'm just joking. But we had to work through that for a while because she was having to comprehend, and she does do her work. Like, hey, this is how it makes me feel. I don't mind that you're saying the hard truth to me.
Right.
I don't mind that you're saying that, and we need to have the truth, and we need to be open and honest and truthful and all of those things. But the tone in which you're saying it, the way you're coming at me, all of those things makes me feel disrespected, and it was driving me away from her. And so some of those things you can learn, and then celebrate your spouse for even the smallest incremental move forward down that road. Some of the people that I coach relationships and marriages. And one of the things is they'll be like, yeah, I've noticed that they've changed, but it's really not to where I want it to be. And I will literally stop them in the middle of our Zoom conversation. And I will say, listen, you need to turn. You need to tell this person next to you that it has been 2 weeks since they have been on your back. It has been 2 weeks since they have brought up, every time you got in a fight, they have brought up 10 things in the past. They have not done that. And so maybe they're not there yet, but the little tiniest thing, you need to acknowledge it, and you need to celebrate them for that, because this is really hard work.
Yeah, it is.
Right. Well, good. This is some good stuff. So right now I want to take an opportunity to involve my studio audience, people that are watching from the Kim Jacobs Show, and give you a chance to address some of their questions or just some of their shout outs. Sometimes people be like, hey, Ray and all the boys in front of 7-Eleven, they just shout out all kinds of stuff. It's just a flash round of being able to involve my studio audience. So Andrea Belk says, good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Andrea. What's up?
So, Casey, you are a sweet couple. Let's see here. Chantel said hello.
Hello.
Hello, Chantel.
Mother Patricia Lofton. Now, she is actually, this is important for you guys to know too, and maybe y'all will connect with her. She is the state supervisor of women for over 100 churches in the Church of God in Christ.
Oh my gosh.
State of North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina. And I know she's probably like, girl, don't be putting me out on blast.
but hey,
Mother Patricia.
Hey, she's got the hat to prove it. I mean, she's got the hat to prove it. Mother Patricia, you are looking really good in that hat. That's a keeper.
I love a good hat too.
And please ask Patricia, please ask Kim to get our information. We'd love to connect with you.
Okay. And so Mother Lofton is over all of the women in the whole jurisdiction, so many of which are married. And she brings speakers in to do conferences for the women's department and stuff like that. Cool. So it's amazing that she's on today. And thank you, Mother Lofton. Okay, Delene Mushilak, Dr. Delene Mushilak, she said, keep date nights. Now, she's a mother of triplets, and she's written a few books as well. She has a women's group of co-authors. It's like 14 of us that are a part of Women of War. How we have in the midst of the storm, and she's watching today as well.
It's incredible.
Awesome.
So Michaela Hayes says, why do you think individual counseling helps your marriage? And
that's a great question.
Well, I think if you get healthy, then you bring health to your relationship. We say, and this is true, that a marriage will only be as emotionally healthy as the least emotionally healthy partner in that marriage.
Hi, Michaela. I love you. She's amazing. A friend of mine. I love her. And I love this so much because that's exactly what Joel said. Like, when you do your work and you get healthier, the health and success of your marriage will cap at the least healthy spouse. So that's why, and I love that question, because there was a lot of things from my childhood and my past that I had to work through that I didn't even realize was affecting my marriage. And the same for Joel. Like, my father passed away tragically when I was 17 years old. And he passed away the day after Christmas in a motorcycle accident. And I was actually on a mission trip when this happened. And so I flew home from that mission trip, and my father had been dead for 2 days before I even knew that he was dead. And I was a new believer. I had only been a Christian for about 6 months. And I didn't even realize or unpack how I had trust issues. And I just had this wall up that I didn't even know about. And so I started individual counseling to work through some of the difficult things I was working through in my own personal life. And I had a challenge standing up to people. I was a people pleaser. I had a really tough time setting boundaries in my life. And so I started counseling, and I had this really crazy situation that happened to me where I had to share my testimony in a small group of people that were coworkers. Mm-hmm. And Kim, I had this meltdown, and it was like almost an anxiety attack, and it was very unlike me. Mm-hmm. And what it rooted back to was I didn't have trust for the people in the room, and I didn't even know it. I didn't even know how to identify it. And Joel was in the room. Of course, I trusted him, but Joel was in the room afterwards, and he said, Casey, I think that you might want to meet with, and Joel had a counselor, meet with this counselor and kind of unpack what happened today, because it really was unlike you. Mm-hmm. And so I did. I started twice a month. I met with a counselor, and I was able to peel back over the course of a year a lot of things that happened in my childhood that were roots to fruit that I was seeing in my life that I didn't even know at the time. And so a lot of that led to conversations that I was then able to have with Joel about be humble and be teachable. I was defensive in my marriage because it rooted back to a trust issue.
Wow.
And cringing upon my walls that I put up to protect myself because I never wanted to feel that pain again in all my life. And so subconsciously, I had built these walls of trust. And when Joel would try to give me honest feedback, I felt defensive because I was so afraid he was going to make me feel the pain I felt at 17.
Wow.
So counseling really helped me pull those walls down and articulate. When Joel gives me honest feedback, it doesn't mean he's going to abandon me. It doesn't mean he's going to leave me. It doesn't mean he disapproves of me.
Yeah.
It just means he's trying to help our marriage be better. And I wasn't at that place prior to counseling.
Wow.
And I think for me, what unlocked in me, I had an abusive alcoholic stepdad when I was right in my middle school years. So you can imagine, like the last night I'd ever seen him, he was threatening to throw me from the second story window of our home. I mean, really violent man. So I had about 3 years where he was in my life. But those were formative years for me. And so the mechanism the strategy for survival for me was to keep my head down, to be quiet, to walk away, to, go and just get out of Dodge. Don't rock the boat. Don't stir things up. Don't do any of those things. So for me to begin to unpack that, and begin to work through that, you could see in our marriage where I'm internally processing everything because I'm avoiding conflict, and she is attacking because she doesn't want to allow that pain to be triggered again.
Right.
Us two together, and if you're not aware of, even in my 40s now, I was still utilizing a coping mechanism that I needed to survive back then, but now bringing it into different ways of making life work for me in my 40s. And really, I needed to release that and to let that go. And that helped me to understand that. Yeah. And so most of the issues that we have and most of our spouses' issues really root back to some of the strategies that we learned to get and to make life work. We haven't outgrown them, or we haven't recognized them, so that we can say, okay, I'm feeling this right now, and this makes me feel insecure, and I need to be aware that I will probably, my default strategy to cope with this is going to be kicking in, and here's why I'm reacting this way, or here's why I'm feeling this way. And so when you can become aware of it, then you can begin to deal with it. But until you have awareness, you just think that life is that way, and you don't even know why you're moving through life in that direction.
That's some good feedback that you guys are giving, and people are grasping this information. I'll definitely tell you, Kim Langford, she said, Lady Kim Langford, she's a pastor. She's all like, basically what you're saying is just so important. And Lady Tanya Anderson is a pastor's wife. She said, absolutely, yes. She wrote a book called The 21 Day. It's a prayer.
Wow.
And they take you on a journey through prayer for 21 days with scriptures and action plans. So that book, you definitely look her up. Tanya Anderson has a dynamic book that you can write and just apply to your life immediately. So Michaela Hayes is the one that actually referred us today. So that's why I'm telling my studio audience, recommend people for the Kim Jacobs Show, because Michaela recommended you guys, and look, it's an incredible connection. So
I know. And please, everyone who's out there, before we talk with Michaela and answer the question, but please connect with us on Messy Life Podcast. If any of those things struck a chord, we talk a ton more about our walk through wholeness and into greater wholeness. And also, please, on Facebook and on Instagram, please reach out to us. We'd love to connect with you, message us, DM us, and we'd love to connect and talk some more. So
right now, everyone that's watching today, and again, as you share the broadcast, keep in mind, everyone, that I do go back and put a YouTube link so that you can share that link. That's more of a professional link that you can share with everyone, and it'll be a YouTube link that you'll have. Subscribe to the Messy Life Podcast. Do that today. When the show is over, go and subscribe to Messy Life Podcast. Get on the date night challenges that they have. They have one more coming up, and that's going to be a live one. It's going to be off the chain. So you definitely don't want to miss the upcoming date night challenge. And go ahead and subscribe there. You can also DM Joel or Casey. You can DM them. You can inbox them, email them. They definitely respond quickly. So make sure you definitely don't miss that opportunity. Let's see what another question was here. Michaela said, she says, what do you recommend for married men to be more romantic?
Great question.
Well, I think talking to, first of all, talking to your man in your life. And you can say in a very kind way, in an encouraging way, hey, you know what? I love it when you did this for me that one time. It just makes me feel like when you did that for me, it just made me feel so special. It just made me feel so close to you. It made me, and honestly, most men, 75% of men are motivated highly by sex. So I'm not saying you want to do that. I'm not saying you want to try to barter there, but what I am saying is when you begin to express to him, when you do these things for me, it just makes me feel close to you. I want to tell you, any man who hears that, he is going to be saying to himself, okay, I like and I enjoy when we're like that together. So
it sounds like you're actually saying it. Let me interrupt. It sounds like you're saying, whoa, that means I'm going to get some tonight. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm just saying,
That's
like, this is pragmatic. This is totally pragmatics here. If you want to speak most men's love language and their top need that they have. So if you know that, like for me, okay, I I am looking to figure out what Casey's love language is, and it's kind of changed during our marriage.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was one way. Now we have kids and we're running so fast.
Life looks different.
Acts of service are a big thing for her. So when we're cleaning the house together, man, she is feeling close to me. She's feeling drawn to me. So here I am folding laundry, right? I'm folding laundry, and I know with every shirt of my child that I
He
am
is
folding.
hoping and praying that there's something on the other end.
No,
for
I am
him.
saying I love you. I am investing into our
And he
romance
hopes
bank
there's something
account.
on the other end for him.
But ladies, don't please coach your man. Like many times ladies, and also guys too, but ladies, you would hope that he would just be able to know what you want. And sometimes like that's not even true. I'm an affirmation-based person. And so sometimes I'll do a project or do something really big, and I will literally say to Casey, hey, I really need some affirmation on this. And you know what? I did this. I like fixed the garbage disposal. You know, I did this, I did that, or whatever. And I'll be like, and if she doesn't say anything, I literally am like, you know, I could really use some affirmation. Like, could you just help? Like, just praise me a little bit. Just tell me how good I am.
Oh, Lord.
And so I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes when you just will communicate that, then, and sometimes you do that with me too.
Yeah,
You'll say,
I will.
I did this, how am I doing? And so sometimes we're not going to get it, and it doesn't feel romantic to you, but what will happen is as you actually talk and coach each other what you need, then it becomes, oh, okay, I know that. And it becomes more, they'll get it, you know, and you won't have to say it as much. But if you always are hoping they'll get it someday, they probably won't. You gotta talk it out.
I think it's important to remember too that you change over time. And that is huge. I mean, who I was 16 years ago when we got married is not who I am today. And so
she's gotten finer, just like wine. Can I just say that? More beautiful. And I'm well, anyways, go on. Maybe I get
brownie points.
I don't know. Thank you, Kim. Thank you. This has been the best show ever.
Oh,
thank you, Kim. I owe you, Kim.
Exactly what I was saying. Sometimes you change over time. And so what I needed or what he needed 15 years ago looks different today. And that's a conversation you have to have. And for us, sometimes like, you know, maybe it's not getting away and doing a nice dinner, but we've had to, like for me, I've said to Joel, hey, let's go hiking. You know, we load the kids up in the car and we drive an hour and we all go hiking together. And it was just what we needed to get away and refresh and have a great time. You know, it just changes. Your needs change over time. What was romantic to you 15 years ago isn't romantic today. And I think it's important to have those conversations. Like Joel said, my love language when we first got married, we have kids now, and just unloading that dishwasher is all I need. You know, I mean, I don't need a romantic date night out to a nice restaurant. That's nice, but I got to put my makeup on and I got to get out my leggings. You know, I got to put real pants on that are tighter these days than they were 2 months ago. Just unload the dishwasher, you know, but it morphs and it changes. And I think communicating those needs to one another is really important, you know, and affirming, like Joel said, when he does something good, saying that, like, you did great. Thank you so much. That meant the world to me. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Someone else had another question, and I do want to get a chance to. Okay, Tanya Anderson said, great show. She said, I'm just joining. So I saw that many problems stem from childhood. How do you get your spouse to admit that?
Ooh, great question.
I think that some of that is really deep.
Yeah.
I know not all of our viewers are followers of Jesus. I know that they're all different walks in faith. For me, my faith in Jesus has helped me to be able to understand myself better.
Yeah.
And to actually come with a place of vulnerability before him, before God, to know that I'm not perfect to begin with and that I'm a work in progress. I think many men, especially older school and older generations, you call me weak in any way and I'm gonna have an issue. There's anything wrong with me, there's anything weak. I can speak just from being a man about that. But I think I wanted something different. I wanted to have something that was real and just didn't have the appearance of being great.
Yeah.
I wanted to have it be really great. And so I think that those are some of the things that helped open me up. I think what you can do is in your community groups, if they're in a lot of church people we've noticed are on here in a church group or community group, if you can begin to normalize and the leaders can begin to normalize that counseling and doing your work.
And even vulnerability, even normalizing vulnerability, that it's okay to not have it all together and normalize that.
And the more that leaders begin to be confident enough to admit their areas of weaknesses, that they're just okay with it, it models for those in our communities that help that. Now, if you are just in a marriage and maybe none of those apply to you, you can begin to model some of those things to your spouse. You can begin with wherever you can go, begin to ask some questions. You can get coaching yourself or get a counselor yourself, and your counselor can help guide you, or your coach can help guide you to being able to how to set up scenarios or questions or times where you can connect on those levels. But oftentimes you can't go straight from, hey, I've never even thought about this in my life, to, hey, you have childhood issues. It takes some time to walk through that. And like I said, for many men, our wires aren't wired when we come out of the womb. You can actually help your man to slowly but surely put the wires back where he needs to be. So hopefully that was enough, like, clear content.
Okay. Yeah, and I think too, it's kind of cool. Joel actually started counseling before me. And when I saw the growth in his life and the confidence of the things that he was overcoming, I was like, because I didn't feel like I needed it. I was like, I feel like I've overcome those things. I'm good. Jesus has helped me. But as I began to see Joel change, I think it motivated me to say, maybe I will try this counseling thing out. And finding the right counselor is key as well. Finding somebody that you can relate with, that you can confide in, that understands you is so important. But man, I didn't even realize how much growth I needed until I got in there and it took time. That's the other thing. It took time, but Joel actually motivated me to start getting counseling because I saw the growth in his life. So never underestimate the power of doing your own work, because you're a witness and a light to your spouse. And so the more you grow and the more your spouse sees your growth, the more you motivate him or her.
I love everything that you guys have said today. It's been extremely inspiring. I encourage everyone. I've been typing a lot, so if you see me leaning, you notice I'm typing everything that you're saying. So anyway, subscribe to Pessy. Subscribe to Messy Life. Well, you can say Pessy, Messy, whatever, because that's
Messy Life podcast. Yeah.
The Messy Life podcast with Joel and Casey Johnson. And definitely go and visit their website, joeljohnson.org. It's so much information on there. You can book them for speaking engagements. You can see the date night challenges, the one that's coming up. Tell them one more time what's going to be happening on the one coming up. And
you know what, actually, Kim, it's already released. So here's the cool thing. It's already up. Yeah. It's already there. So you just go to joeljohnson.org/date night. And even if you say, hey, we don't want to take 3 separate date nights and do this, you can do a Saturday like marriage intensive with those 3. You can use them however you'd like to use them, but it will definitely take you deeper, and it'll give you tools, the personality test tools, the forgiveness language test. We'll give you all the information for that. So it's just a free resource for people. I always ask myself, when a crisis comes in, I see myself as a leader. As when a crisis comes in, how do I serve? How do I do what I can do? And so really this was birthed out of our relationship and what can we do to help somebody else out in this time, and giving this information out for free is how we decided to do that. So if you're a community leader out there, this is fantastic information. It's free. You can bring your community groups together. One of the things that I've done for several churches and different communities, I've actually given them the content to play on their own communities, Facebook Live, so that their congregation comes together and it creates that connection point during this time where we're not able to meet together. And so you can reach out to me on Facebook or on Instagram. Reach out to us if you want to connect with us. I'd love to see your community group. I will actually send you a link where you can download the video. You guys can do it Facebook Live or do it on YouTube Premiere. I just want people to be helped. I want marriages to be made whole. And if we can be a help in that process in any way, we'd love to be so.
Yep.
I love this. I'm just typing, the Johnsons want marriages to be whole.
Yeah.
That's a great kind of concluding statement right there. The Johnsons want marriages to be whole, and the way that they're contributing to this is when they see a need, they don't just see the need and leave it void. They see the need and they fill it. Yeah. And I love that about you all. I feel like we've known each other forever.
I know.
Only met on the show, but I really just feel connection with your spirits. Both of you have tremendous loving spirits. Subscribe to Messy Life Podcast, and you can also learn more about the date night challenges, which all 3 are released.
Yeah.
So you can do it in a cram session where you totally lock in and stay in with your boo, and just have a great few nights of date nights. joeljohnson.org/date night. And I am encouraging you guys to please subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show.
Yes.
Subscribe.
We're your biggest fans.
Thank you, Kim. You're amazing. We're so grateful for what you do.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. And everything that you're saying is going to change marriages. More marriages will stay together just because you came on the show today. And I'm grateful for you.
Really. Thanks so much, Kim.
Okay. You guys have a great day.
See ya.
Don't go yet. Don't go because I have to.
We love you.
Put on the
I'd like to go ahead and do some closeout things. I want to make sure that you know today we have Monday through Friday Quest Church prayer line 978-990-5000. Access code is 322083#, and you can join in. Prayer is taking place for people that are dealing with coronavirus. Some are infected, some are frontline workers, and they need prayer. Yeah. Essential workers. You have people that have passed away and their loved ones couldn't even be there to be able to celebrate their homegoing. So there are so many situations where prayer is needed. And for 30 minutes each day, you can go Monday through Friday and join in on the Quest Church prayer line. On Thursday, I want to make sure you know who my guest is coming up. I'm trying to make sure I get better at telling you the day in advance who's coming up. And so Thursday, we have Tawana Williams. She's unarmed. She has no arms, but she's dangerous.
Wow. Love it.
Powerful.
She'll be my guest on tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. So please make sure you tune back in and watch the Kim Jacobs Show to learn more about Tawana Williams. And then on Friday, we have a teen entrepreneur panel. So Jemiah, which is essentially Jemiah, she does eyelashes and all kinds of stuff. And Jermaine, which science sweets is what he does. Chloe Maddox, and she does candles that she creates. It's like a whole science experiment.
That's so cool.
And several more teens will be on Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. So please tune in for that episode as well as we display some of our teen entrepreneurs. All right. Any last thought that you wanted to say? And you say, Kim, dog, I really wish I had said this in the show closing and I didn't get a chance to say it. What do you want to say? One last encouraging word.
Just take action. Don't just let it be a good time or you learned a few good things. Do something right now. subscribe to the Messy Life podcast, subscribe to Kim's show. Do something that is going to systematize your healing and health.
Yeah.
So make that next step. Maybe it's calling that counselor that you've been thinking about for a long time. Sign up for a coaching session with a great coach. Do something, take an action step, and your life from this point forward will go in a better direction. So move ahead, do something today.
Casey, any last thought?
Do your work. That's my motto for life. If you're committed to do your work, you are responsible for you. Nobody else, well, your kids, but do your work. And it's messy and it's hard, but the reward is great. So you guys got it. We got this.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching the Kim